He's back. Brian Reynolds, Reynolds Co. Wanted to talk more. Did you look up your topics this time? He's been on here before, so what we do with guests who have been on here more than once is really try to dive in more in regards to business and the trade or whatever it is that the person's on is doing themselves. Because, well, let's face it, we know who you are.
Yeah, I've been on here a few times and talked
Right.
about where I came from, how I grew, how I got here, and how everything's going. And had a few cool little updates I wanted to talk about, but also too, I did look up my notes and I did have something that sprung up I really want to talk about, and I couldn't find it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I was like, well, damn, okay. Well, I guess I'll save that for the next one.
Okay. Yeah. Fun tip for people. I typically just use ChatGPT, man. I'll go on there and say, what kind of topics can I touch on? And I usually get some aha moments from that.
Yeah.
But what's the new update, man? What's new?
So the biggest newest thing with us is that we finally have a location.
Hey, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, we are now have a location where we can do client meetings. We could have builder trade meetings and stuff like that. We can go over stuff with clients. And we are now in the process of still getting all the products that we like to use all the time and kind of showcase a few things and differences and stuff. So we're still getting all that. I kind of I've been thinking about doing kind of like a slight grand, like, hey, we're here now, and have some people come over and kind of see the space and,
I think that's a great idea.
Right?
Yes.
I think so too. And it's kind of cool because the place I'm actually staying at already does a barbecue every Friday.
Right.
Hint, hint. And so a lot of the cool things we got coming down the pipeline. And now that we're close to our clients, instead of being 30 to 45 minutes away from everyone, we're like 15 to 20. So we just cut down the time and response time to getting out to our clients so much faster.
I love that.
So that's one of the big ones that we're really excited about seeing is now that we have a location and that we're close to all of our clients, we can get to them a whole lot quicker, and as well as have them come into a space that they could basically come in and actually look at everything and actually feel and touch the products without us traveling everywhere to go to them and go to their gross broken down home, or even just go to and find a coffee shop and be in a loud environment. We can be quiet. We can go over a few things. And also too, there's a lot of other potential, clients that we have that we also share with the space with that we can bring in as well. And so it's just a kind of a awesome space to be in.
Yeah. Get them here, man. That's good. That's good. I love that. Are you seeing any kind of, there's been a lot of talk with a lot of the people who I've had on as far as economically, all that kind of stuff. Are you seeing any kind of slowdown, or tell me what the business has been like over the last, let's just call it 90 days?
Yeah. In the past 90 days, we have noticed a little bit of a drop, but we're still getting phone calls. We're still getting quotes in. The job landings have kind of simmered a little bit.
Okay.
But with the bigger projects, they're still moving and they're still getting quotes. The smaller projects has definitely picked up. So that was kind of a weird one to say, we are slowing down, but it's in the aspect of bigger projects.
I see.
So smaller projects are picking up.
Yeah. So what's an example of those?
Well, we've been talking about almost actually looking at a bunch of the old videos we did on here. It's backlighting.
Okay.
It's still a big thing, but now we're adding a new thing. We just became a new distributor for S-Box, which is a pop-out outlet for all the granite companies. So basically now we're doing these pop-up outlets that are basically like a 30-second reveal that you don't even notice it's there until you basically go feel for it, and you're like, what's that groove? And then you press down, and a full outlet picks up.
Nice. This is out of granite?
Out of granite,
so wood, on a countertop or whatever you want?
Anything. And so it's a really cool thing about it is that it follows the grain. So wherever you want to put it in a slab, it basically just says, I want that section of slab cut out for it. We give them a template. They cut it out. They shave it down to whatever the dimension is of how far down or where it's going to be mounted. And then they just place it back on top, and then it just blends. You don't even see it.
And these are spring-loaded or something?
They're electronically loaded. So basically they have a spring and everything else in it, but it's actually as soon as you press down on it, it electronically kind of comes up.
Fancy.
uber fancy.
Is that expensive?
It's actually not too bad on price in comparison to other products out there. This one's what I call fair market value for what you're trying to get out of it, right? So high-end luxury products don't have to be expensive. And I think the market value, the MSRP on it is about $500 for just a single outlet. But
Jeez.
if you think about it, though, if you don't want to see it, you want to pop up, and you want it UL listed in the United States.
But that's not even counting installation.
That's not even counting installation,
Right.
no.
Installation's going to be even more. That's a lot.
Well,
But hey, that's fancy.
That is fancy. But if you think about it, though, put it in this aspect. You're already, by code, having to have an outlet there. But say you don't want to put an outlet, just a spring-loaded POS that goes up and it gets caught, or say you go to use the spring-loaded one and it gets stuck and you have to almost tap the end of it. Tap the end of it to basically have it to unlock itself, and you have to deal with it. And then the serviceability of it is virtually not, because you always have to get it fixed.
Right.
So think of it as you don't know it's there. You can put stuff on top of it, and it notices that when something's on top of it, like say I put a beer on it accidentally, it's not going to pop up until it actually starts feeling your hand or something that it's oh, okay, I need to pop up, and it starts coming up.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. You put something on it, and all of a sudden,
yeah, because what are most of the, I hate to say it, but cheap ones, they have a little thing there that's letting you know it's there, and it's plastic, and it always has the nicer ones have metal, the commercial rated ones are all metal, and they're kind of nice looking. Mm-hmm. But say you put a drink on it, what is the first thing it's going to do? It's going to spill every time. Or say you put a hot plate on it. Now your hot plate just destroyed your pop-up outlet. So now this doesn't get rid of countertop space. Think of all the other things that it's able to do now, because now the house has to be up to code for how many outlets you have to have in a certain wall. Say you have a beautiful wall, a beautiful window that's there. Well, by code, still got to have an outlet somewhere.
Okay.
So now you can put outlets there, but you don't know they're even there until you pop them up. I've even had an inspector inspect one of my jobs, and he was like, "Where's all your outlets?" He's like, "They're pop-ups." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then at the end, because at the very end of the job, he has to do a final walk. Came back on the walk. He's like, "I can't find any of your outlets you put in. Where are they?" And I was like, "They're in the countertop." He was like, "Where? I don't see a trim ring." I was like, "I know." And so I had to go out there because he was feeling around for them until he finally found one, but he couldn't find the last one. And so I went out there. It's right here. It goes, psh, and he was like, "That's freaking cool."
That is cool.
So there's not only the cool aspect, the luxury aspect, but it's also you don't lose countertop space. Mm-hmm. You don't get the disgusting look of plastic or a trim ring. It's all flush. It's all smooth. It's a completely different finish. And so these new products we're starting to find like that are in Europe or anything else that are UL listed in the United States. I mean, it just adds that next luxury aspect of stuff that a lot of people don't think about. And a lot of people are just like, I just need something for code. Or they're just like, I have to have it, and they won't let me do a final inspection until we get it. And so that's where we're coming up with these products, and we're starting to be dealers for them and help them basically get them to market and let people know that they exist.
So is this examples of these pop-up stuff and everything you're making mention of? Is this part of the big job stuff you're saying is going away, or is this kind of what you're seeing more of? These are the littler jobs?
It's a mixture of both.
Okay.
Because on the big jobs, we have to tell them hey, by code, we got to have a pop-up, because I see because again, we go through these projects, even on the bigger ones, they give us a plan and they say we need outlets here, there, and whatever, and then they'll spec certain things. And I was like, "Hey, you're noticing a wall plug here, and it's in the middle of a window." And they said, "Oh, yeah, we didn't see that." I was like, "Well, we're sending an RFI for it, but this is what we suggest we would use." And because it's, give them the reasons why and stuff like that, and we'll give them, that one, which is what we call, honestly, I would say that's a mid-grade. And then they have a higher end grade, which is one that is basically like a phone charger / pop-up.
Yeah.
So you can put your phone on top, and it does a whole bunch of other things.
That's cool.
Well, that one's like $800. So talking about money, that's there.
Do you think that when we see inventions with just new technology, that a lot of things kind of become the norm? Do you think that stuff like this will become the norm, or it'll always be kind of high end?
I think, honestly, just like we were talking about with the smart controls on the last one, I think over time, I think it's just going to be a norm.
That'd be awesome.
Because, I mean, honestly, there's always a company going out for the high-end stuff and figuring out a way to make it cheaper. So I think this will slowly become a norm in the next 5 to 10 years. Because before we even knew about lighting controls, when I first started, we was like, man, lighting controls, that's like $10,000, $20,000 just to get started. Now with lighting controls, they have stuff that's more affordable that you don't even need a lighting control panel for. It's all app-based. So, I mean, I think in the next, I think pop-ups have always been around, but I think now everyone's looking for not seeing it. Simplicity is what a lot of people are looking for. It's very simple, doesn't take up or take away from the design aspect or anything else that they're trying to do. They're trying to make everything seamless. And I think seamlessly over time, things are going to get more and more seamless and less expensive over time.
I got you.
So I think over time it's gonna take time. But just like anything else, something new is gonna come up, and then remember when the first smartphone came out, how expensive that was?
Yeah, I do. I was just talking with someone about this the other day. I personally was a late adapter to the smartphone.
Yeah, I mean, I had a flip phone and what was it? It was a BlackBerry. I had for the longest time.
Yeah,
and loved it. Never wanted to go back from it. And then the smartphones came out. I was like, I like my BlackBerry.
I didn't get a smartphone until I was like 27.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I want to say smartphones kind of started really becoming a thing, when I was probably like 22, 23. So I fought it for a while because I just thought they were shitty. They took forever to download anything, YouTube videos or anything along those lines. And they really didn't start getting nice until like
'08.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, about '08, I would say. And the reason I started getting one was for work-related purposes, and it definitely was helpful for work. And even then, going on like Facebook and websites was still just so slow. It was like, why would I do this? And,
but now, look at it now.
Right.
Isn't everyday, like, if you don't have a smartphone or a touchscreen on something, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. No, totally.
It's like walking around with a pager.
Well, and that's kind of my point. I wonder if all of the things that you mentioned as far as, electrical will become something that, I don't know. I always think about things like this and how interesting it is and on how certain things seem to really take off and others don't. Like I think about features on cars that, certain things seem to become the norm and certain things seem to fizzle out a little bit. Like you don't see a lot of like moonroofs on cars.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
And don't get me wrong, it exists and people are like really into them. But, like when sunroofs and moonroofs first came out.
Oh, dude, they leaked?
It was like, no, I mean, but like people were like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's such an amazing feature. Yeah. And now there's a lot of people like, I don't even want to mess with it. I don't need anything to do with it. I'm sure there's many other features that we could talk about car-wise, but I just wonder because it always seems to really come down to like how the cool factor is one part of it, but then the main factor is usually like how functional is it really?
Yeah, like does it really add simplicity to your life or does it just complicate?
Well, it might not even complicate. It's like I think about like a pop-up, right? Like that's super cool. And that's sleek and fun, but like, does it offer true does it make things easier?
Yeah, is it that much easier to put in?
Right, not put in, but like, does it make the person's life easier?
Ah, okay. Does it make it easier for the person's life?
Because
that is a good question.
It seems like things that are cool. Well, they typically take off, and it's like, wow, that's cool. Mm-hmm. But then once the cool factor wears off, it's like, okay, how functional is this really?
Yeah,
right.
I can see that.
Like I think about that with like tablets, right? Mm-hmm. Like the majority of your tablet users are probably kids.
Yeah.
Why? Because they don't have cell phones.
This is true.
Right.
But also in our industry with tablets, coming up to that for simplicity and use. We use those for job sites, and they have blueprints on them. And so, like, I think just like anything else, they have a task to do, and they have a certain job they need to perform. And so as long as you have it set up for that job, like for parents, it's to keep kids busy.
Yeah.
while they're trying to work, like if they work from home and they got to like stay home mom and they have to like watch the kids, but she also has to work like on the computer or whatever, it gives her at least like 4 hours or 2 hours in some cases if they have ADHD like me as a kid, can't stay on that thing. And I'm just like running around with my head chopped off. And so I think with that, I think it's just what's the task? And that's another thing that we try to do when it comes to those pop-ups or any of the lighting that we do. And the power design of what we do is like, what's the task of this one device? And is it going to make the job simpler, or are we just overselling something that probably doesn't need to be sold?
It could be cool though.
It could be cool.
That's
cool
kind of the
factor is
point I'm trying to
always
make.
there.
Like, cool, there's that.
But then is there a job for that thing? And it's like, for instance, in pop-ups, they solve a lot of problems with, like I said, like with, windows and spaces where you can't put anything on the wall, but because it says you have to have an outlet in that space somewhere. Mm-hmm. So for that, it's like a pop-up's great, but do you really need one that's like seamless? That you're selling a cool factor on that. And, for some of the lighting controls, and it's like, do you need all these, like 4-gang switches, 5-gang switches? There's elongated switches and no one knows. Like, I always go to a homeowner that has a 4-gang switch and says, tell me what each switch does. And they're like, oh, it's that. And I'm like, so you don't. Right. So, like, always simplify, make it make sense, to where you don't have to think about it. You hit the switch and it does its task, it does its job. So it's just like anything else. It's like when you do a design and you do an install of some sort, what's its job? What is it supposed to do? What is the function that it needs to perform at, and make sure it doesn't cause problems, it's seamless, it looks good per the design, but also the functionality is what we're looking for. Make sure it functions the way it needs to and doesn't complicate things.
Yeah. What are you seeing a lot of right now job-wise?
Job-wise, I mean, on the small jobs that we're getting in, we got a showroom we're working, again, another showroom we're doing that we're doing displays and like lighting displays. So basically like they have like a bunch of like jewelry. It's a jewelry shop we're doing in Dripping. And so all these displays had old like ballast and bulb, like turn bulbs in them. And so now they want to update them. And so now we're doing seamless, like real small LEDs and stuff like that. And so we're doing like high.
How do you land jobs like that? Where does that come from?
Designers.
Okay.
They always come up to us because I've noticed we've gotten weird projects coming in lately, including like, for instance, like Santa Rita Ranch. I think I was talking to you about that as like another weird job. Santa Rita Ranch reached out to us and we're quoting Christmas lighting.
Yeah.
And I was like, how'd you hear about us doing Christmas lighting? And he was like, well, you guys are lighting people. I was like, okay, well, that's one thing we do.
Yeah.
So we're figuring out the design and the layout for Christmas lighting. We got those displays. And I mean, again, they're small projects, but it's like, those are the jobs that are hitting right now. And those are the ones that are very interesting because, for displays, there's not like, hey, do you have a plug nearby? Do we need to put a cord cap on it? And there's like, oh, no, there's no power nearby, so we got to make it work. I'm like, oh, shit.
So that's not easy.
No. And so, but now we're, again, because we're so adamant to any type of lighting experience or anything we've done because we built lighting fixtures. This one we're doing battery backups. And so basically they just get a battery pack on the back of the display, and we're building basically a battery backup for it to run on a 24-volt battery system that we're building.
Okay. I know we've been talking about things you've been doing job-wise as far as getting new pieces of business. Are there any, I guess designers would be a big one. You're trying to get in front of as many designers as possible.
Absolutely.
Are there any other business owners you've been trying to connect with?
Yeah. Granite companies, we're doing a kind of like a lunch and learn on a couple of the new stuff that we're getting in, like pop-up outlets. The backlighting is a real big one. And then we're doing sales and stuff like that for them on how to actually sell the product to where when we come in, it's just like, all right, we need this, this, and this, then boom, we're good to go. So granite companies now, and then another one that came by that I've been wanting to really get into is actually investors. Because now we're trying to, one of the old investors we used to work with back in the day reached out to us, and they are now wanting us to basically, they want to do a small community of either trailers or They're going to do like tiny homes, and they want us to actually do the development on the lighting layout for the street lights, the mailbox lights, and if they decide to build the tiny homes themselves, do lighting layouts for that to make it more simplistic and not dark and gloomy, but have something that is affordable, that's a builder grade, that works for what each homeowner, when they come in, if it's a smart home and try to be energy efficient, like how can we make that work to where basically they come in, they sign on the account, and then they have full lighting control for the tiny home. But then when they leave, they want someone else to come in and sign on to that account for that tiny home and come in and be able to control the home however they need.
I gotcha. Where do you find these kind of clients?
Man, they kind of started finding me. I mean, we network all the time, you know, go out to these events, go out to, you know, Home Connects and AIA and all that stuff in Austin. And there's sometimes there's a coffee event I go to every morning, not every morning, every Friday for Linked Glenn, you know, drop out to Mr. Glenn. He's networking guru in the Austin area for builders, contractors, real estate agents. I mean, all that stuff. And
what's the name of it?
Linked Glenn.
Linked Glenn?
Yeah, literally, it's off of LinkedIn, and his name is Glenn, and he is a huge networker in Austin for builders, architects, designers, and realty that has been growing for a while. And I was expecting him to kind of be more contractors and designers and architects, but now realtors are starting to show up. We've got
Where's the event?
So right now that one's it used to be at this coffee place like right down the street from actually here. Used to be, but now it's at Mozart's.
Oh yeah, Mozart's. I know, yeah.
Yeah, which is basically still right down the street
By the
from here.
Hula Hut, or did Hula Hut change? Whatever, yeah.
No, it's still Hula Hut.
Okay.
Yeah, and we actually used to take care of their marina back in the day.
I bet.
But yeah, so he does it at Hula Hut, and it starts at 8:00, and it's a pretty decent event. It's been growing a whole lot, and he's been moving it around for a while. But now it's stuck at the Mozart's, and it's a good event, man. I've gotten a lot of good clients from there. I got even another client. It's another strange one. We're quoting right now a couple jobs that are EV charging stations for corporations and companies, and actually one guy's trying to get us to do a turnkey service for doing EV charging stations like gas stations.
Okay.
But they're EV charging.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to get a turnkey service on that, and he's trying to figure out how to do it, how to power it, you know, what type of transformers and stuff we need, like average electrical work, and then we're also implementing smart lighting and energy efficiency on that too. So how to get EV charging to be energy efficient. Whole nother thing I got to tackle and research now. So, but those are the type of clients we're getting from investors, architects, designers, and now him, which I don't even know if he's an investor or just a contractor at this point. I haven't figured him out yet.
Okay.
But that's another one I found at Linked Glenn and a couple other networking events around, including the one that you throw every Friday for the barbecue event. I found that one designer, and now she's sending me work every so often. So it's like, I mean, interior decorators too. I have an interior decorator telling me that we need to go and do a lighting layout for a house that she wants to redo because she said the ceiling looks like Swiss cheese. And so so now we're doing that too with an interior decorator. But she's hit and miss. We probably get a job once a year from her. But because normally no one wants to completely take down a ceiling and repaint it. It's kind of expensive.
Can be. A lot of labor there. Yeah, barbecue and mingle works, huh?
Dude, I've been coming to it now for, God, how long now?
We've been doing it for a little over a year.
Yeah, and I've been going to at least past 7-8 months.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's a hit and miss, but I mean, the times that I've gone, it's always been good because now I'm getting a lot of realty clients that just need panel change outs or just like, hey, like I got a text today from, I think his name's Jonathan, that I just need to go check out a solar system, then make sure it operates properly.
Right.
So I'm going to go do that actually later today. And so, I mean, yeah, I'm getting all sorts of, small projects and just service work is starting to pick up, I think, more than anything.
I've been getting, I'm happy to hear you say that for obvious reasons, but I've been getting a lot of, I wouldn't call it phone calls, but just conversations I've been having with a lot of real estate agents because, things have been, things have been slow for a while. And by slow, I don't mean like, dead or anything like that. Cause, in the world of real estate, you can't say you're slow. I don't know why. But, I'm getting calls from agents who are like, hey, what are you doing? How have things been? And what really seems to be a common theme over the last probably 6 to 8 months is that people are finally really starting to identify how important it is to really be getting out there, having conversations with people. I've been saying this forever that, the people who buy homes, this is just for real estate, the people who buy homes are people.
Yeah.
And the people who need electrical work are people.
Yeah.
You can definitely dial things down and find like solid referral partners based on businesses and everything along those lines. But if you're not out having conversations and meeting new people, it's tough. And I'm really shocked at the amount of individuals that, we invite them to places like Barbecue and Mingle, or we hold events at, bars, or we're actually doing one with Patent Title on the 2nd.
Yes.
Yeah, May 2nd, it's going to be at Patent Title between 10 and noon. And we're basically just doing like a real estate expo where we're going to have different industry professionals just kind of running down products and programs and things like that. So you've got insurance agents, title company, a lender. I believe there's home warranties going to be there. And we're ultimately just kind of trying to do a similar thing that we do with Barbecue and Mingle, where we're trying to get people together and, have conversations and think of ways that we can be better at what we do. And I'm always surprised that at the amount of people that are kind of like, that's not my thing. And when I think about it, I think the main reason is because there's like no real instant gratification in it. Mm-hmm. There's no like, I went to a networking event, I met the perfect referral partner, and then a week later they called me up and they were like, hey, I need your service.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that usually almost never happens.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people who are kind of slow or down and out, they're like, I don't want to go to that because all we're going to do is sit around and I'm going to talk with other business professionals. I'm going to hang out for an hour and then I'm going to go home and I'm going to think, while I'm sitting in traffic, like, that was such a waste of time.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the things I've learned networking is, and I think you and me on off the podcast even talked about this, is that when you network, you're on a mission. Yes, it's good to have that personal connection with your clients, and it's good to have other conversations besides business, because including, depending on what time that event's usually happening in the afternoon, and everyone's just getting off work, including if it's a Friday, they don't really want to talk about work, right? But sometimes you can snake in some work conversations and stuff like that, and basically do some networking. But basically, like, you gotta go and your mission is pick up one client or pick up someone new that is a referral partner or could possibly be a referral partner. Like, for instance, granite companies, I never thought I would be a referral partner for granite companies. Mm-hmm. Never thought that would be a thing until I started networking with them more, and they started inviting me to the events. And so I started inviting them to events, and I started networking with their people, and then started working with my people. And then now I got contractors calling me, and they got contractors they never had calling them. And so now we're doing small projects, we're doing big projects, and it's just like, these guys work great together. I got the granite company quoting a job for me, and we got some either backlighting or some pop-ups, or I got some specialty stuff. Let's get their electrician out here because they've worked better with them. And we don't need to retrain them with another electrical company that's trying to do the same thing. Instead, let's just use them. And so I really think networking is huge, because even last year when it was an election year and it was, 7 months, it was slow.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 or 3 months, we made some really good money, and we were like, all right, we're doing good. And then we started noticing like a month before it started getting slow, we're like, nothing's landing. And then we started noticing like 2 weeks away, I was like, haven't got anything within the next 2 weeks. What's going on? And it's like, so all the investments we were doing, we started weighing off. And then we started selling some investments. We started making sure that it's like, let's just get some bread in the bank account for a little bit. Let's just wave this out and make sure we get some jobs. And then we started landing one job here, another small job here, another small job here, one big job. But that was it. And then so we were like, okay, what do we need to do? And so what we did is we spent money on networking and basically getting out into events and, marketing as much as we can and getting the brand out there, getting the brand name. And once we started doing that, marketing is a long game. But but if you don't do the long game, I wouldn't be as busy as I was starting this year, we started getting busy out of nowhere. And all we did was marketing. That's all we did, networking and getting out there and talking to people and getting the face out there. Because a lot of people like to do business with people they know or people that are face-to-face and not over a screen or a phone call. Best way I've even said it that I've learned from people that I've networked with or even people I've learned business from, they said it's always harder to get rid of a person and it's easier to get rid of a phone call and an email. You can look at an email, you can be like, I don't want to talk to you. Won't even read it. Won't even look at it. See a phone call come in. And it's like, I don't know that number. Just throw it away. But if you have a person in front of you, it's harder to get rid of a person that's standing in front of you, wanting to have a conversation.
It's true. It's a great point.
So that's what I've learned.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, I like that we're harping on the whole long game thing because one of the things I always think about is like, I'll tell people will ask me, what do you do for business? And, I kind of make mention of some of the things that you just brought up. And I kind of see the look in their eyes where they're like, I don't have 3 to 6 months to, brand myself and have these conversations with the intention that maybe something will come to fruition like 6 months from now. Like I need to get paid today.
Yeah.
And then you kind of follow up with them 6 months later and they're still just as broke and they still don't have the clients. And it's like, just imagine if you would have done something 6 months ago,
you would have something today.
Right. And it's one of the things that like always bums me out because, everybody's got an excuse as to why they can't do something that might not bloom for like 6 months to even a year. They've always got a reason. And I can't tell you how many people I'll follow up with in that timeline. They're still in that same business. They're still doing the same thing. And they still are like, I need a paycheck today. It's like, well, you would have had one.
You would have had one if you would have played the long game. Because part of business is playing the long game and the short game. Yeah. Short game for us is the small projects. Right. They pay the bills. Hate to say it, they do. Small jobs pay the bills. And then when we get a big project, and once we have, majority of a lot of big projects, sure, the small projects are going to start going away because we don't have the time. And so we would have to hire to make sure we can keep up with them, right? So
it's like agents doing leases. There's real estate agents that are like, I don't really want to do leases because it doesn't pay much and it is a little more work than probably it's more work than what they should be paid better, I guess is what I'm getting at.
They should. I mean,
but
with how
you're
much
generating a piece of business that is going to probably come to fruition within a year because that lease is going to come up and. If you're staying in touch with that client, you can come back a year later and say, hey, I think maybe we should look into finding out what your options are for buying a home. And then there it is.
Yeah.
But if you didn't get that lease, then you didn't get an opportunity to talk with that client. And then a year from now, when, you're still in the business, but you needed to get paid right away, like now you have another client that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Immediately. I mean, it's funny because, when we were doing big projects last year, we had 2 big projects lined up and a bunch of small projects within a matter of short, like when we started, and back when I started, when I was saying that, I was like, hey, we just started getting busy out of nowhere and I just needed some side gigs before I go overseas. I mean, we started getting busy quick and I was like, all right, I'm making money now, let's do it. And then once the money was out, I wasn't marketing when I first started. I didn't have to. But then once I noticed that we started getting slow, it was like, okay, it's time to market. Yeah. And it's like, if we have the time, use it. I've always said, and I've always learned from another guy, and I started implementing it on everyday stuff. He's like, if you have the time now to invest into yourself, do it now, because when you don't have the time to do it later, where's your time and money being spent?
Right.
So I've always learned that if I can make the time now, even when I'm busy, to invest in the long game, I'm always going to put at least something in it because that's always going to pay out later when the jobs dry up.
Right. No, yeah. You always got to focus on new business. I mean, that's what we tell all salespeople. What seems to be the, and maybe you don't know the answer for this, maybe you haven't thought about it, but is there a particular small job that you have seen turn into bigger jobs? Like, is there a particular type of small job that you're like, yeah, I hate doing this, but we go and do them? Because sometimes when we get out there, we meet this person, or better yet, maybe it turns into a bigger job. Is there anything like that in your business? Like we just gave the analogy with real estate agents, like a lease listing is an example of the small job that eventually can turn into a big job. Is there anything like that in your business with electrical?
What we've noticed in the electrical industry is service work.
All right.
Service work always turns into bigger projects, and that's even.
So what's an example of service work?
So example of service work is for especially on commercial clients that we have for showrooms. We do a lot of showroom service. And so meaning that when a showroom has like a panel upgrade or outlets aren't working and stuff like that, smaller showrooms turn into bigger showrooms. Meaning that they always move, they always get more product they got to sell, and more products mean they have to demo out more lighting products or whatever they're trying to showcase because showrooms get big over time. So it's a long game, but it's something that, like for instance, one of our lighting suppliers we like to use a lot of is Jackson Lighting Supply. And so we use them, but also too, we help them with some small stuff at their old showroom. Well, now they have a new showroom, and we ended up getting the full job of fixing up the new showroom and getting it ready for them to put in all their products because they used to be just landscaping. That's all they did. They just did landscape lighting. That's what Jackson Lighting Supply was. That's all they did. And then what they turned into is they went into interior lighting. So downlights, pendants, chandeliers, all that stuff.
Gotcha.
And now they also do furniture. So like seating, benches, couches, but stuff like that. But it's more like pallet check and like, some of the higher end, more designer stuff. So they're actually going towards, instead of more landscape lighting and, very nice high end stuff, they went into the ultra luxury and started showcasing more for designers and architects and stuff like that because they do jobs all across the world of like, not only landscape lighting, but now interior lighting because designers are asking for it. So because more of their jobs are asking for that product, they have a showroom now that now demonstrates what they're trying to show.
So you do the service
side of things like plugs, like change out plugs that aren't working, panel upgrades, stuff like that.
In hopes that eventually when they expand, they're like, hey, will you come in and do this?
Yeah. You say, hey, like we got a new showroom. So now they have.
Is that the same on the residential side? I mean, do you have clients that you do like these little service jobs for, but then can turn into bigger things?
Yeah. I've gotten to residential clients that will sooner or later turn into house remodels. And so like one of them we used to follow this designer around a lot to where she would be like, hey, I just, we did this little kitchen remodel. We're just trying to get some outlets updated. Like you can just do this. Or sometimes a homeowner would call like, hey, just did a kitchen remodel, but I don't like the outlets that they put in. Do you have something a little bit more like, a little bit nicer, nothing too crazy? And it's like, yeah, we can do screwless plates. We can do some real easy lighting controls and do some undercab lighting. And so we'll do some small stuff like that, like small projects. And then later down the road when they go to do, it's like, hey, we're actually doing a full, like we got the bathroom remodel, we did the kitchen remodel. It's like now we're doing the entry and living space, and then we're doing like these bigger sides of the house. We're ready for it. Do you want to quote the electrical? I was like, absolutely. And so we'll actually not only do the electrical, we actually partner with the contractor they have and partner in the design aspect too. So we'll even get design work out of it as well while doing that. So, I mean, small projects to us end up paying in the long run because sometimes too, another small project we've done that feeds into the big ones is these granite companies, like we'll do a lot of small projects with them, which is like, hey, we just have a backlit job that we're doing on this house, and this is a last minute change order. Do you want to come in and do it? And then the contractor sees our work and he's like, man, I kind of like that. You guys do really good work. You're in and out. You're very efficient. And it's like, I got a job coming up. I got a new build house. And the last electrician was good. And it's like, but he said no to this project. And you're the only one in the area saying yes. And he's like, do you just want to quote the entire house for me? I was like, yeah, I'll be on your quoting. And then we just start getting quotes for contractors and builders and start getting on those just because we did the small. the one small little project, which, I mean, again, probably cost a client $20,000, $30,000 for backlighting, but still it turned into a bigger job with just those smaller projects.
We need more of those.
Yes. Like I'm starting to get more of them, which is kind of fun. But I mean, I kind of enjoy the small projects, to be honest. They're quick in and outs. We make some decent money on them, but it creates relationships. And that's what I like. I like creating a relationship with my clients because it gives me more of a personal connection with them. Mm-hmm. And I get to kind of like see what they like, what they don't like, and it gets me more of a feeling of what they're actually looking for. Because, you know, you get an electrician, he's like, hey, I just need some plugs and switches installed. And it's like, okay. And, you know, it's like, well, what's the house look like? What is your style you're looking for? And so that way I'm not trying to upsell like every other salesman. Like, yeah, well, of course we're trying to upsell, but I want to upsell you in the right direction. I want to give you something you're going to enjoy for the long game. Like I want you to actually enjoy how your house looks, how it operates, and exactly get what you want and not just be like, oh, well, here's some plugs and switches and there's no screws on them. Enjoy. You know what I mean? Just like, yeah, here's a sale. I won't see you again. It's like, no, I want to see you again, but I don't want you to call me back for problems. I want you to call me back because the service was great, the product is great, and the end result is exactly what you want. And the more personal I get with the clients, the more I can kind of see what style they want, and I can get them exactly what they're looking for.
I like that. You are good at always upselling all the gadgets and stuff. You're like Batman. You're always giving me ideas. I'm like, wait, no, I'm broke. I can't do that.
So. Dude, I do the same thing because I'll see a new one. Like one of the things that it was a challenge for me to do is one of my lighting supplier, actually, which is funny. He's a lighting supplier. And one of his new books that he gave me is mainly for hotels and stuff like that, but high-end luxury homes. Funny thing is that when they travel like to Europe or anywhere else, whatever is in their condo that they're renting for the weekend or the month that they're there or whatever, they always see some really cool stuff. One of them is a mirror TV.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah. And
I think those are super cool.
They are super neat because also too, like everyone's getting these picture TVs, and picture TVs are great, but like in a lighting design aspect, like for me as a lighting designer, I want to light that picture in a certain aspect to where it brings the photo out. But on a picture TV, I can't light a TV.
Right.
It just kind of meh. It just blands into it. Like it's like putting a light on your phone. It just soaks up all the lighting. There's nothing there to light.
Right.
So for me, a photo, I want to light it. Well, with a mirror TV, it adds simplicity and cleanliness to the room that a lot of people, for me in a living space, I honestly don't like TVs. Call me weird, but maybe or old school even.
No, I get it.
But for me, I think having a mirror in a living space just cleans up everything. You don't see a TV or a niche spot where a TV is until you actually want to see it, and you turn it on and it shines right through that mirror like it's not even there.
Yeah, we were looking at those. I thought that was super cool. And they're not as inexpensive as a normal television, but they're not that expensive either.
Yeah, they're not. And come to find out, like, you can get them custom made with frames. So with the frames, yeah, they get up there. They get like $5,000.
Okay.
But like if you buy the mirror piece, which is like the cover, and then you get any TV that has a certain lighting throw through the TV, I mean, price point, it's not bad.
Right.
Like what you're getting is it's really good. And so I got a training on it not too long ago, and I mean, you can basically grab any TV and throw a mirror and throw just the cover. Like you can buy just the cover and throw it on at any TV.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And so, yeah, I didn't know that either until I took the training.
Gotcha.
And so now he's like, all right, try to sell it now. I was like, deal. And so we have a bet. I have like a year to sell one TV.
Okay. So it's not really even the television. It's like, it's a mirror.
It's a mirror cover.
Gotcha. And then you could like, yeah, okay. So then you could like decorate a certain area, put the mirror up, the TV's behind it. So you have to like install the television in the wall, put the mirror over it.
Yeah. But I mean, now with newer TVs, I mean, they're paper thin. I mean, newer TVs now, which are godly expensive, I think those TVs run like, maybe $2,500 to $3,000. But it's just like almost about as thin as a monitor, like a real thin monitor. And then the power bank for it is actually like not even connected to the TV. You just plug it in.
Right.
And so now you don't have to like do a niched back that have the TV sit in it. The mirror, basically you just put it right on the wall, and then the mirror cover sits right on top, and it doesn't even look like it exists.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I
stuff
saw
like
it in the
that.
magazines. I thought that was really neat.
Right? I mean, honestly, too, like even the ones that are in a lot of the nicer hotels and, even some Airbnbs that I've stayed at where they have a mirror with a small TV in the bathroom.
Yeah.
To me, that was interesting. So that way, like for me, after a long day, not taking a bubble bath for any means, but I'm taking a nice hot bath or even like a cold plunge in the bathroom, and I can just have a little monitor like on the mirror that's just basically doing the news or doing a sports game or something like that. I mean, I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, because then it goes away then you can just, it's a bathroom.
It's a bathroom. It's a bathroom mirror. And you just turn it off and like, bam, it's a mirror.
Right.
And then also, too, it's not that big. So if your girl's in there doing makeup and everything else, you can still see the screen. And you're going to be like, all right, what's the news today? And just as you're getting ready in the bathroom, for me, I don't know about you, I maybe take 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's more for the bubble bather. But I mean, yeah, I could see myself, like getting ready and, having the news on or something along those lines. Maybe some Spotify with a podcast or whatever.
Do a podcast or an audiobook.
Because it doesn't necessarily have to be just like television. It could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything playing.
Because nowadays you can just like screen mirror.
Yeah.
Right.
Screen mirror it on from your phone straight onto the screen in the bathroom or even in your living space.
Yeah. You could be watching this podcast right now.
You know what? Have you ever thought about doing live podcasting?
I have, but I mean, I don't know. I don't watch any live. Like, what would the why behind that be?
Well, so for instance, there's some people that follow certain podcasts, and when you have like a special guest or something that's like, when you have a live thing going, a lot of people like to tune in.
Yeah.
And try to be like, oh, like that's live. Like, let's see how it is live. Because then when they see the cuts, there's like some stuff that they cut out through the podcast. And so seeing it live is like an experience.
I don't know if I'm set up to do a live podcast. And frankly, I mean, we do them at such odd times during the day. I can't imagine too many people would actually be watching it live.
Yeah. That was something you would have to, again, network and market to be like, hey, live podcast with special guests. I'd have to wrap my head
around what we would do in terms of it. Because with the multi-camera, I mean, we could run one camera and then easily do it live, but it would just have to be with one camera. I wouldn't necessarily know how to do 2 feeds or even 3. We sometimes will do. I wouldn't know how to do that live. I'd have to look that up.
That'd be kind of cool.
I mean, it'd be cool to say that I did it, but I'll be honest, I would be shocked if we had more than like 10 people watching it while it was live.
Yeah, but again, like you have a large following, and so if you market it and you're like, hey, we got a live cast, with a special guest, like this. Really, it's kind of like, if you think about it, it's like anyone out there that would like to go to a seminar. People show up for those.
Right.
Well, if they can't show up because they're in a different state.
I know a lot of those seminar people, I've gone to those things and they've stopped doing the recordings because they feel like they're not getting the retention and the results by doing it.
Well, they also don't get paid. They don't pay for the seminars.
Well, I mean, the people aren't signing up like they would if they were to go in person and all that. But yeah, I mean, that's the results they're going for. I don't know. I've done seminars, I've done books on tapes, and then I've done them live. I mean, nothing beats kind of, being there, to be quite honest.
Nothing. But also too, we're what's our next generation that we're trying to feed into? What's our next market? Gen Zers.
Right.
So they're all into technology. That's what they
For
want. And so not a lot of them travel a whole lot anymore. They're on their phones. They're honestly on a screen somewhere.
Oh, they're traveling. Trust me.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of them traveling.
That's their thing. They don't want to work. They just want to be on a beach in Mexico.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. But say the seminar is something that their company's one's like, hey, we want you to go to this, that, and the other. And they're like, it's not in an area I really want to travel to.
Yep.
Like I mean, Austin, there's always something going on in Austin. So a lot of people are traveling here. But, for something like that, and they want to learn something, and they want to because I have been
I think it's to your point about the way you want to meet clients, right? You want to meet clients, you want to meet them face-to-face because you get a better result. Yeah. It's not necessarily like you don't want to meet clients because you truly want to be with them face to face. I mean, I'm sure there's a piece of it that's the intention, but the big why behind it is because, I mean, I think you're saying was it's harder to get rid of someone in front of you than it is to. So I would think that any sort of retention for any sort of podcast, seminar, whatever, if it's really in person, it's a better experience and it's better retention.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there. But how many times at a seminar you get to talk to the guy, the main speaker at a seminar?
If you wait in line long enough, usually every time. But that depends on how bad you want to chat with them.
That
but
is
I hear
true.
what you're saying.
But I mean, that was something that I was thinking about too. Because,
Well, and it's the collaboration with other people too.
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
The people that you're showing up to and people that you're able to talk to at those seminars. And that's why I think it's important to show up in person for those seminars. Because if you're there in person, you get to talk to other people that are in the same trade. And it's like, hey, what are you doing differently? It's like, hey, after the seminar, we're going to grab a bite to eat at this one place. And he's like, you want to sit down and just chat for a little bit, and collaborate with other people, contractors, architects, real estate agents, anyone that you're in business with. And sometimes your competition, but sometimes it's not your competition. Like some people do low-end cookie cutter homes for me. So I'm like, hey man, how are you getting so many like contractors doing these cookie cutter homes? Like what are you doing different that I'm not doing?
Right.
And sometimes they have good ideas. And there's like, no, we just bug them. Or sometimes it's like, like some aspects of it's like, oh, we took them to dinners, or like, hey, we went to this event and they were there and we just bugged them until they gave us a job or something, So it's like different ideas across different types of styles of trades tends to work in business. It doesn't matter what business you're in. And so I think that's very important to learn different ways to market or to get in front of people. Like, for instance, we're starting, like we finally, just last night, we finally got our Facebook up. Never had a Facebook. Like my last business did, and it seemed to work pretty well, but I didn't even think about it. I was like, I'm doing social media, like, on Instagram and LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, we're getting a lot of clients, but we never thought about Facebook, and it just kind of fell to the wayside. And I was like, I need to start that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we finally got that up and running, is like we're here in the next month or two, we're going to finally update the website a little bit better to kind of portray what we're really trying to do. And so like a lot of that stuff is, all of it plays an important key role into marketing your business and your brand. Like
branding's a big one for social media. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And, you do your networking stuff and somebody says, hey, I really like this guy, Brian, and they usually go home and they're gonna troll you.
Oh yeah,
right?
They're gonna background check you.
Right, and then if they can't find anything, I mean, you're not dead in the water per se, but if they can't find anything immediately, it's kind of like, okay, well, what the heck is really going on here? Why can't I find this guy? Opposed to there's like 900, videos and comments and this and that. It's like, oh, okay, like this guy's not messing around. Like this is legit.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy, but like, yeah, it's something that I've noticed as being a huge, help in regards to my business. And yeah, I mean, even these clips, you should get on ChatGPT and do a bunch of stuff in here. Just run quick, like 30 to 90 second, like almost like Q&A, or what do they call it? Frequently asked questions on, things for electricians, just getting that page pumped up with video content and things that you can post, especially if you just started it, because it'll probably take a good 90 to 120 days before it really starts to organically get to the top of the feed if people are Googling and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And what we noticed when we were starting this company, we actually didn't, like, we did a lot of like background checking and like figuring out like the name and stuff like that. Evidently, there is a electrical supplier called Reynolds Electric Supply, and we're like, shit. I'm like, okay. He's like, but it's Reynolds Electrical Supply. It's a supply house. They ain't gonna do nothing. Well, come to find out, marketing team and me didn't realize that there's an actual like Reynolds Electric. It's called Reynolds Electric Solutions, and we're always like, well, shit, that's like one name difference from us. But they're not even in the States, so we're like, oh, okay, we're good. But it's still like, their branding is like an average electrical, like, hey, we do electrical work. And it's nothing that what we do, but they're in a whole different state, which is like the only saving grace.
What state are they in?
They are in Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
So I was
by
like,
me, where I'm from.
That is right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where they're at. And so it's great. But at the same sense, it's like, trying to make sure to get up on that, on the internet, it's so good to get up higher on that research branding name, getting your name out there for local searches. Because if someone searches up that and they find that company and they're like, oh, well, is this him or who is this? And so it's trying to get the name out there in your local area, but then also getting that name searched more so that way your name pops up more than someone else in a whole different state. So if I was a electrical supply house, and electrical supply houses deliver.
Is the supply house here in Texas?
Yeah, and we use them.
Where are they at?
They're actually out in kind of like between Austin and Pflugerville area is where their supply house is at.
And you use them for?
We use them for kind of like a high-end power supply, so like Eaton panels and breakers and stuff like that. They actually only do commercial work. You
should make sure that they know who you are in case someone calls looking for you.
Yeah, actually, one of my suppliers actually over there, I told him, it's like, hey, if anyone calls for Reynolds Co Electrical Solutions, give me a call. And it's like, we'll do. It's like, we didn't think like your name is pretty close to ours. And I was like, oh yeah. And come to find out, the domain name we were trying to get for our company was actually the domain name they own, and we didn't even realize it. We were in a battle between buying the domain name, and we didn't even know that it was them that they bought it. And so we were going back and forth with this guy that owned it, and finally they put out a dumb number, and I was like, I'll go find a different name.
Yeah.
So come to find out, they took the domain name we were going to take, and so we took a different one, and then another funny thing is that we go to supply houses. Most electrical supply houses will talk to one another and say like, hey, my customer's looking for an Eaton breaker. So they'll actually look up Reynolds Electric Supply, or it's actually in most of them, they're called Reynolds Electric. And so a lot of them, well, my suppliers too, they just put, because my name's so long, they just put Reynolds Electric. And so it comes up with the supply house and me right underneath them. So it's always a common like, well, are you Reynolds Electric in like Austin? Or it's like, no, we're Reynolds Electric in Round Rock. I'm like, oh, and then they look it up. It's like, yep, here you go. Here's where you're at. And I was like, yep. And so now we got to change it to the one in Austin. And we're like, maybe we just keep it in Round Rock.
Yeah,
it's easier to find because every time they come up, it's Reynolds Electric and Supply in Austin. And so if we changed the location to where we were, it's like, shit. And he's like, now it's like, which one in Austin are you?
I gotcha.
So that is one thing we are noticing, a little bit of a strange thing. But for clientele, I mean, you look us up as Reynolds Co Electrical Solutions, we come right up. We're the first ones. But you got to put the entire name, which is a little long. But
well, what we have to do is we have to just create more content and get videos and everything. I mean, that's really what it's all about. I'm telling you. I mean, you can Google my name and I mean, you can go through the entire second page before you even find someone,
even close.
Yeah. But again, it wasn't always like that. There's actually a Matt Kirschling in, I think it's Wisconsin. He's like really good at the guitar. Yeah, I know, right?
Aren't you really good at the guitar?
No, not like this dude. This dude like shreds.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a 12-string guitar.
Yeah, he's like into that kind of stuff. He
really?
Like shreds. Yeah, I like have stumbled upon his like he puts videos on like Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually reached out to him like 10 years ago and we were both like, whoa. And that was the end of it,
Yeah, and it was like, oh, that's cool, and then that was it.
Yeah, same name. First and last, which is, I don't have a super common last name, so it's kind of crazy. It's not like Brian Reynolds.
Yeah. Right? But if you look it up on Facebook, there's like 40 billion of them.
Well, that's what I mean. So, yeah, it was just kind of crazy that there's a dude out there with my exact same name. But
we did notice, too, there was a company when we were doing a whole lot of backlighting. I mean, we are now still, but it was back in BCR days before I sold it. There was an electrical company that did nothing but backlighting. They were getting their name out there big, and our videos crossed one another. And we ended up hitting each other up, and I was like, hey, man. I was like, because just to make sure like we weren't competition, it's like, where are you from? He was like, oh, I'm in Tennessee. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm in Austin. He was like, oh, cool, man. He was like, hey, so what product do you use? And so we started swapping notes, and I was like, hey, you ever used American Lighting? He's like, oh, I did. He's like, watch out. And he's like, to borderline affordable, and like we had the same kind of lingo, like affordability and cheap, and so that one's like they're affordable, but as soon as you get into this certain product of theirs, it gets real sketchy. So like be careful which product you use. And so we started swapping notes, and it was just all online. We started just talking, and shoot, I talked to him just last week about like, hey, like, have you noticed about this new product that came out? And he says, yeah, I actually did. What do you think about it? And he's like, I think it's good, but I'm noticing a driver issue. And so this is what I did to fix it. And he was like, I didn't think about that. He's like, yeah. And so, one of them was actually mitering the edges on all the tabletops we do. And we actually install most of them on top of cabinets or something. We actually install the plywood or masonite and stuff like that, the wood on top of it. And then we miter the edges to kind of round the edges off so that way it's not a sharp edge on a piece of tape.
Sure.
And he actually taught me that if you get it rounded from the cabinet guy, the LEDs fit better and it doesn't have a potential of damage. Because what we did is we kind of like basically floated the edge so it didn't have a sharp edge. And so we just had the tape light kind of floating. And what he said is like, no, just get a rounded edge about 3/4 of an inch, and then you just place it right on top of it, and you don't have to worry about like floating it and make sure you don't float over too much and stuff like that. And so like swapping notes with other people in the trade, that's what we learn from one another, is just swapping notes of like, hey, how do you do this? Or it's like, hey, this is what I did to fix this. And so we like doing that I think it's super important to, even in some realties, realty people is like, it's like, hey, how are you selling this to clients and stuff like that? And it's like, oh, I did this instead because I noticed that if you give them too many options or if you do this, that, and the other, it's like, they tend to be standoffish. And so I think swapping notes with people in your trade is super important, which comes back to networking.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I have a couple different groups of other loan officers that I'll meet with, and, we'll just kind of talk about what we're seeing in the business and ways that we're generating new business. And it's always super fruitful. I think it's I think it's huge. And like you said, I mean, that's part of what the whole networking event I do on Fridays is, which for the record, this week, are you ready?
Oh, what is it? I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm doing something a little different. I mean, nothing like super innovatively different, but something that I don't do very often. So I've got an 11-pound pork belly that I'm going to cube up and do like an entire tray of pork belly burn ends. So I'm going to do them like with a really sweet sauce and make them, like 1-inch cubes that'll just be like, kind of almost like bite size. I'm going to do like a whole tray. So it's going to be like 10 pounds, which is, it's going to be a lot of food.
That's a lot of food.
Yeah. So I'm going to do that. And then because we can't just eat like meat candy,
even though we all enjoy it.
Right. I've got a full pork tenderloin that I'm going to do, but I'm not going to like smoke that all the way through. I'm going to do that to like almost like a medium cook, and then slice those into steaks. So you have your pork steak that's kind of more like, meat. I'm going to smoke everything with pecan, or I think about it, I might do it with that peach.
Ooh, you do have a little bit of that peach.
Yes. I got to think about that. Probably do the peach now that I think about it. But
I have a nice
so you got
flavor.
The pork belly burn ends, and then the tenderloin that I'll do into like steaks. And then obviously we always are going to have the coleslaw, and then we got the mac and cheese.
Coleslaw is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing mac and cheese this time too?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're doing it. So should be a good one. I'll probably be able to get this out in time, so I'll clip this little promo here. But yeah, every Friday, barbecue and mingle. Got to be here.
What's the address?
That's a great question. So that's 5908 Westgate, right by Central Market. Westgate, and where 71 is, Lamar, that whole area. So South Austin, but come on through, get a plate, do the networking stuff, and I can assure you will meet people that you will eventually work with in the future.
It's a long game, but we've gotten it too from that same networking event, and it's been absolutely fantastic.
Well, and damn it, what's wrong with good food and fun?
I mean, nothing, man.
Right?
Good drinks. Sometimes you got Matt over here being a bartender.
Yeah. Yes, that's a thing.
What is the couple of drinks you've actually made?
I mean, we make tons of stuff. It just depends on what I've got in the liquor cabinet, and then what people are bringing through. I was looking in that liquor cabinet, and man, we've got like a crazy just range of different stuff. Like I can't say it's like all good, but I mean, people just,
They just keep bringing it.
They bring what they like, and then, they're like, all right, well, I'll leave us like a half a bottle of this, a half a bottle of that. And we have got a huge selection of damn near everything.
Yeah, I've noticed you've made everything from martinis to
Well,
you've even made a espresso martini one time.
espresso martini. We had limoncello martinis for a while. Someone brought a bottle of limoncello. We've obviously got a ton of different whiskeys, so you get your old fashions and all that kind of stuff. We've done margarita days, so we've got a ton of different tequila with mixers and lime juice and all this other stuff.
You even got wine.
Yep, there's tons of wine. People bring over these liqueurs because they want to make this like one drink. So like these Hugo Spritz, Aperol Spritz. I mean, it's definitely it's a thing.
It's a thing, and it's a fun time. Not only do you get your damn good barbecue, but you also get some very interesting, very delicious drinks with it too. And then of course, there's always a Lone Star.
Yeah, I'm a big Lone Star guy. That's my thing. But that's all right. We got something for everybody, and that's what it's all about. And I like, the thing for me that's always interesting is there are times that I try to promote it, and then there's times that I don't say anything. I mean, we do it every week, so it's always fun for me to see who comes through.
Including a random contractor like me.
Yeah, well, because if I promote it, we usually get about 20 to 30 people. If I don't promote it, we typically are going to get like 12 to 15, but it's always different people. Because, not everybody can make it every single week.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. And that's why I do it every week, because I don't want there to be any excuses in regards to like, oh, well, that week I was busy. There's no way that you're busy every single Friday. We do it from 1 until typically like 6.
Yeah.
There's no way that you're busy every single Friday. And you got to eat.
Gotta eat.
You gotta eat.
Gotta eat at some point.
So
and then sometimes too, you do bonfires in the backyard.
Yeah, when it's cooler outside. I mean, sometimes they go a little bit later. I say 1 to 6 just because that's kind of like the main time. But hey, if everybody's having fun, there's sometimes the party doesn't stop.
It doesn't, and sometimes pool games go a whole lot longer.
People get competitive on the pool table. Yeah, that's true. What else do we need to know about electrical or business or anything like that?
Well, man, we went over a lot of stuff, and that one thing I can't think of is still bothering me. It's at the top of my head, and I'm like, why can I not think about it?
Well, the podcast room isn't going anywhere, and that's another thing I need to get better at. It's like we're jumping up on 2 years. It'll be 2 years on July 7th that we've been doing the podcast, and definitely want to clip this. I'm looking to get some new guests on. Obviously, real estate agents are a big piece of it, contractors and things like that are real estate related. But we've been opening it up to people just to kind of like, just to create additional content, opening it up to people who've got like stories to tell or anything along those lines. We've had some people way outside of real estate who have come on, and that's been a lot of fun. And I'd like to do a little bit more of that. So anyone that wants to come on, tell their story, or even just promote anything they're doing, I'd love to have a conversation and get a feel for whether or not they'd be a good fit.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's always good to have different people on, because not only do they get the clips from this, which I think is huge in marketing, but also just to get an experience of how different people get started in business. And it kind of influences a lot of people to get into the market of whatever market they want to get into. Real estate agents, loan officers, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people just don't understand what it's like to get into it. And so they like to hear from people and hear their struggles. And it's like, look, starting this is always a struggle. Starting any career is a struggle. I mean, I have a good friend that, she does, kitchen work and helps basically people that are starting a kitchen, how to get set up and how to like organize and do all that. And so I've been partnering up with her to do like lighting layouts in kitchens and stuff, like commercial kitchens. And so stuff like that, people just don't know what it's like to get started. And they think like, oh, I can just start a business and get going. It's like, well, no, like, there's a struggle, and then everyone struggles in it. And it's always good to hear what people go through, because it's not always that easy as some people say.
Well, and there's some people that think it's impossible, and it's kind of good to hear some of the stories, because then you realize, okay, this isn't going to be easy, but it's doable.
It's always doable. You just got to have the right mindset. You got to attack it a certain way.
Agreed.
And one thing I've actually wanted to kind of talk about too, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is a lot of contractors and a lot of different designers or even just people we work with, the last minute bids.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, they rub me the wrong way. I hate to say it. People, I love you guys all. Please understand. But the last minute bids, and it's like, I need this in like 2 days. And I'm like, I still got to research. I still got to put these things together. I got to figure out like what the square footage is. I need to turn in all my RFIs. I need to do, there's a lot of stuff that we have to do on our end that sometimes getting a quote in a week is kind of rough depending on how big the project is. And a lot of people expect like, oh, you're just like throwing numbers together and stuff you use all the time. And it's like, there's a lot of stuff I don't use all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if I really looked at my Rolodex of things that we have over 800 plus product. I mean, actually, no, it's more like 2,000 plus products that we put on projects. And
Do you think some of those last minute bids, though, are people that aren't even going to do anything to begin with?
Honestly, about 65% of the time.
Yeah, that's what it is in my business.
Yeah. I mean, but I do notice that if I get the quote out fast enough sometimes that we win the job. So it's a hit and miss. So I hate to say 65% we don't get it, but that's kind of what happens.
Well, not that you don't. I'm saying what of the last minute bids are people that aren't even really going to do business with anyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Okay.
65% of the time,
Yeah.
we're just getting priced out, and it's just like, oh well, this guy gave me a ridiculous bid. I want to get a bid from you. I'm like, I don't know if you really want to.
Mm-hmm.
But even contractors we work with on the daily, they're like, hey, I had a quick job that just come up. I was like, can you quote it real quick? I was like, sure, why not? Or even most of them are the newer contractors that we're trying to get work with. And he's like, I know you've been wanting work from us. He's like, but can you quote this job real quick? I was like, sure, what's real quick? He's like, I need it in like a week. And I'm like, okay. And then it's like a 10,000 square foot house. I'm like, I have so many questions.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. He's like, I'm not going to win. And he's like, why not? Why are you saying that? It's like, well, because I got a week when everyone else had a month.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can we get those quotes out that fast? So
Is it helpful if they just like send you the quote of whoever they feel like they're leaning toward?
That's kind of cheating. And
Okay.
and honestly, like I know a lot of people like that because then they know where their number needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly hate it because what I want to do is I want to quote fairly, and I don't want a cheat sheet. Don't give me something that someone
Well, I mean,
else.
if you're not going to be able to get it done in a couple days, if you have everything, they don't have to show you the price, but they can at least show you what the specs of the job are.
And that is usually within the plans. And so if they show me the plans and they
Okay.
give me an aspect of what needs to be done, and they maybe send me the RFIs that they sent, then sure, I could kind of like skim through and give them a number. But the hard part is that most contractors, including right now, they think they're getting ripped off from their everyday electrician, and then they come to us like, hey, we really want to use you now. We want to see where your numbers lie. And I'm like, well, I can't give you a fair number if I don't have the time that everyone else had. And so because again, we're busy, and right now it is a little slow, but that doesn't mean we don't have stuff we're quoting and some serious contracts we're trying to win. And everyone and every client to me is very important. And so I don't ever want to rush something and give them a false number.
Why do you think they didn't come to you in the first place?
Because they've never used us, and using a company that is so detailed as us kind of puts a different perspective of, well, they might be higher because they're the white glove electrician. And that's kind of the name we've got in the industry right now, is we are the white glove electrician. But they think that we're just going to be astronomically higher, and we're really not. But we just need a fair time frame. Like any other job you quote, most of the times you get a month. I mean, shoot, one of the jobs we're quoting, it's not happening until they're not really getting. It's like, what we have until December to turn in our quotes. That's far. That's far out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some jobs that they quote so far out, and there's some jobs that they quote with, it's like, hey, we got everything. We got 2 months, or we got a month. Some we get, they're like, you got 2 weeks. I'm like, 2 weeks is fair. I could see that. But a week to like a few days, and it's a huge project, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna say no. I'd much rather say no and be fair to my client than it is to say, let me try and waste your time.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of one of the things that we have been wanting to kind of talk about, because it is something in our trade, and really everyone. And it's like, hey, I need this done in a certain time frame. It's like, okay, well, what's your time frame? And it's like, it's like, oh, it's like a few days. I'm like, let's be realistic. Like with everything we got to look at, everything we got to, make sure that we're covering every aspect of it. It's not going to be fair for us. It's not going to be fair for you. Let's get you a fair number. Let's be honest with one another. It's not waste anyone's time.
Yeah.
It's like he's like send me a bid package on another project you got coming up, and let's kind of make sure that we're getting each other a fair price. Because if not, I might have to overquote because there might be something I might not see. And then I'm like, well, then at that point, let's TMM it and make sure that we give you a fair number. I mean, it's time frames that are just unrealistic. And I kind of hate telling people that I can't quote a job because there's no way I can get it out in a proper time frame.
Right. No, I get that. That makes sense. We just got to get in front of those people ahead of time.
That's what I'm trying to do. That's why we're here, man. We're
So
trying to
that's
let
the
them
public
know we
service
exist.
announcement. I get it. Well, man, next time, not next time, when you think of whatever it is that you wanted to speak on in regards to this time, we'll get you back on and we'll do all the things. And
I'll make a list this time and not just put it on your calendar.
let's do that. Let's do that.
Because I put it on your calendar because I was out drinking with a client. I was like, oh, I need to talk about it on the podcast. And he was like, you have a podcast? It's like, oh, no. I'm not on a podcast. There's a podcast I get to go on every so often. And we talk about things. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. Of course, I had a few Lone Stars.
Yeah, that'll happen. You gotta take better notes, man.
Yeah, I'm learning that. As I get ideas. I'm like, oh, I need to talk about that. I just need to write it down.
So I got my notes on my phone. That's what I do.
I need to start doing that.
Yep.
And it's funny. I spent the money talking about phones, getting a good phone that has a pen on it to write notes, and I don't use it.
Yeah, you got to use it.
You got to use all the functions, man.
That's how technology works. It doesn't work if you don't use it.
See, that's a lot of people are scared about with ChatGPT. It's just like, oh, it's the technology's out there. Use it. It's only going to benefit you more than it is to not use it.
Yeah, I mean, use it now before it takes over the world, right?
Absolutely.
All right, brother. It's a pleasure. We'll have you on again when you think about whatever that other topic is. I'm going to get this one out quickly, too, so we can get some promos out for the barbecue and mingle.
Let's do it.
All right, brother.
All right.